Welcome back, everybody. It's Robbie. I know we missed this week. Why did we miss this week? Some personal matters that came up on both sides. However, what we did discuss is that we were going to have mini pods around Giddy with Diddy. It's really not funny. So this week I'm actually going to have this discussion. So, next week Stephen will be back. All right. So, and let's lift Stephen up, everybody. Just in general, let's lift him up and lift up everyone close to him. All right. So, I just talked about prayer. Now I'm about to get into the other side. Jesus help me. Okay. So, all right, everyone. It has been a lot since I last talked about this Diddy trial. I was talking about, at first I was saying Dana Tran, as I mentioned before, in the preliminary intro and then also on the podcast at the end, it's not her. She actually is currently one of his baby mothers, and she did not get on the stand. However, Jane did get on the stand. Now, Jane, who is that, is the acronym. I mean, we talked about Capricorn Clock, we talked about Mia, and then lastly there was Jane. Jane, allegedly, we do not know. I am saying this just out there. No one knows. Though even he put it in the video. I don't know if you saw that video that 50 Cent put out when he was trolling. That's like the intro of Family Matters. Anyway, it's crazy. Look it up on YouTube because it's off Instagram, probably for a lot of reasons. However, he said 50 Cent baby mama. Daphne Joy. Allegedly, that's who Jane is. Let's talk about this testimony before we get to the fact that after this podcast comes out, the prosecution is probably going to rest within a day or two after this podcast comes out. So there's that. So basically, everything that you have heard, if you have been listening, that's the case. That's the case. All right, I'm jumping ahead. So what did Daphne say? Really quickly. Oh, I'm sorry, Jane. What did Jane say? One, she said she was totally in love with Diddy. Two, she said that Diddy was the I know I have to take a breath as I'm saying this. Diddy was the person who introduced her back to God. Yes. That they used to sit there and they used to watch church together. They used to talk about God together. They used to pray together. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, as my friend likes to say, she always says that, and I think it's hilarious. Um, they're doing these freak offs and all this other stuff. And it got crazy. Okay, so how it started was that, they would be together, et cetera, et cetera. And then he said, how would you like it if somebody came in? And then she was like, yeah, sure, I'll be open to that. She said, like, within 5 minutes, she gone to the bathroom or something, and he was on the phone arranging a freak off. So that started. And so there were all of these text messages. Now, keep in mind, and this is what I was forgetting. And I know if Stephen was here, he would have something to say. But I was forgetting that, they pulled out all these text messages from people, right? And people were saying, well, you can see what they're saying, text messages, see, you can see this. So that means that maybe they did want it. Wait a minute. These text messages, when the people were sending these text messages, none of them knew that this was going to end up in trial. None of them did. So let's be clear on that. Many of these text messages started and happened before the raids, the lawsuit was filed, all of this, especially if you talk about Cassie, right? So let's put all that in perspective. Okay. So Jane says that at one point she told him in a text message that they released, I am not an animal. Doing this is making me sick to my stomach. All I want to do is be with you. Now I'm summarizing and, creating it as a kind of just a compilation of what she said. Those are not her words verbatim, but I think you get my picture when she was doing this stuff so much to try to please him, but at a point she called herself an animal. That's how she felt about herself. I mean, and okay, here's the crazier part. So, he would threaten her. And there were these voice memos, the little voice memos. If you have an iPhone, you can send voice memos to people. So he would be like, all right, well, you know how to do it, but don't you like where you live, or don't you like what you got? Don't you like your teeth? Evidently, he didn't like her teeth, so he paid for her teeth to get fixed. And he's been and continues. This is the part that, y'all, this is just drove me bananas. He is paying her rent right now, $10,000 a month, while she was on the stand testifying against him, paying her rent and her legal fees. So evidently, Jane was actually supposed to be a witness for the defense, and then she switched sides. Crazy. Which is why the defense was able to a degree discount a lot of the things that she was saying in terms of how she felt. But here's the other thing, if you did not hear about this, is the fact that Jane said she got in a big argument because she saw, evidently Diddy was messing with somebody who was younger, and she got jealous. And she got angry. They got in a fight. She started the violence. She admitted she did. She pushed his head on a marble top. He ran after her, picked her up by the neck, threw her up against the wall, you know, beat her. She was afraid. She was hiding. She was hiding from him while he was running around looking for her. She hid in the bushes where she lived for 2 hours or something close to that. Thought that he was gone. She came back in. He was not. He was still there. And then he said, okay, now you have to do a freak off. Basically, to as amends for what she had done. So she did a freak off. Then she also, too, because he had the prostitutes there, he called the woman who he was cheating on her with. Well, I say cheating lightly because they weren't in a relationship, who he was with. And she started abusing, quote unquote, Jane, allegedly, aka Daphne Joy. AKA Daphne Joy, allegedly, um, on the phone right before the freak off. And then, you see, there's a lot of and thens. All of this happened, the beat down, the hiding in the bushes, the coming back, you had to do a freak off, the getting yelled at by the chick that she was jealous of. All of this happened after. I can't believe I can decide to say this. I have to say this. I have to build it up. I have to build it up. All of this happened after that video that Diddy made. Do you all remember that video that Diddy made when he got on Instagram and everywhere he was like, I'm so sorry. Cassie was around me at a dark time. I didn't mean it. That's not who I am. I'm a better man. This is not who I am. I know I said this, that, and that, but this is not who I am. This is not who I am. After he said that, he went and beat Jane's ass. Now, I don't care what Jane said throughout their relationship. That's it. That's it. I mean, like, listen to that. That's crazy. He is crazy. So she said that she would always want to be with him, but he would only want to have sex with her after she had sex with these men, or not have sex with her at all because he just wanted to see her have sex with these men. I mean, there's so many layers to this, people. There are so many layers to just those statements in of themselves. I don't even know what to say. I mean, we could go deep. We could talk about it. Maybe Stephen and I will at some point, because I'm sure he will listen to this episode. But that was the nature of their relationship for more than 4+ years. She was doing this. for $10,000 a month and some purses and some teeth. She was doing this. She was letting other men have sex with her, random men, no condoms, no protection, um, high on drugs, after getting beat, getting emotionally abused by his other woman or whatever. And it's not worth it. It's just not worth it. Um, this is a lesson to women on what it is not worth. It's not worth it. Um, it really is not. So, okay, then it's just so much. I'm breathing a lot and I'm saying then a lot because I'm still having a hard time wrapping my brain around this, even though I have been listening to this and understanding this so I can give you the summary. Okay. Oh, and allegedly, we don't know. Allegedly, the other woman who was yelling at her at the time was Young Miami. We don't know, though. We don't know, but that's what's out in the streets. Okay. Then, so the defense cross examines. They show where she was saying, she was talking about how, they were, I think I talked about the Michael Jordan Kobe trifecta thing, how she brought that up, how she was setting up they would call hotel nights, how she was involved in all of this stuff and she was proactively a part and didn't seem um like she was concerned or scared. But I get all of that. I really do. But I think the thing that I'm losing fact of, I mean, other people have said this, is that, and again, I want to be very clear. I've never been in a physically abusive relationship. Um, and you hear it, I'm saying physically abusive relationship. But sometimes you do things, I think people do things with people, and they've talked about this in these types of relationships, where you do things to appease the person because you feel like if they do it, they will treat you better. And they never do. They never do. You can be as nice as you want to be. If somebody's going to abuse you physically or emotionally, you just need to do what you need to do. Most of the time, that's get the fuck away. 99% of the time. But let's say you have children or you're thinking about your life and you don't have all of the money and the fame and all of that other stuff. And look at what happened with Cassie. She tried to get away. Every time she tried to get away, he would go and get her. Or he threatened her parents. Remember I talked about that part with the mortgage? Who does that? Okay. So, talked about Jane, allegedly aka Daphne Joy. Then there was some other witnesses, just random folks, but the main one who came on here, and feel free to look up the other people, but the main person who came on actually Friday was Brendan Paul. You all remember Brendan Paul? Brendan Paul was quote unquote the drug mule, the one who was arrested when they were arrested on the airplane in March 2024, and he had drugs on him. He said the drugs were his, but the drugs really weren't his, according to his testimony. In May, he was arrested in March. In May, he decided to say, no, actually, they were Diddy's. And the reason why he said they were his is because he had a sense of loyalty. He also said, when they asked him, what is your relationship, or what do you think your relationship was in terms of how you saw Mr. Combs? And he said, complicated. All these people had this thing with him. It's like he would hurt them, then he would love bomb them. And it was this vicious, dysfunctional, crazy cycle. And I don't know if other people are looking at this just from a behavioral perspective. And even on smaller terms, if you are in relationships with people and they're really kind to you, but ultimately they hurt you. And they really are just about themselves. They're not necessarily about the betterment of you. They're about the betterment of themselves, but it's couched in all of the generosity and the kindness and the other things. And so, I mean, we hear about it, we see it on TV, but it's like this is really playing out in terms of the dynamic of the relationships. But people are complicated, right? We know this. And clearly he has problems. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Diddy has problems. He's gay or bisexual. I think that that's clear. And that's something he's been struggling with probably for years. And also, too, there's just so much. Charlemagne the God said this one time. Charlemagne, I'm calling you out. I'm not saying, I'm not talking shit about you. I know you get on your podcast and talk about how people talk shit about you and Andrew, because I love Brilliant Idiots. Sidebar. I love Brilliant Idiots. I listen to you guys. I think you're hilarious. I'm giving you a good shout out. Don't know if you'll ever hear this, but I need to say this. But Charlemagne the God, he's always talking about mental health, particularly for men who had a hard life growing up. Black men who had a hard life growing up. And he says, did he just his way of dealing with the pain was sex and drugs constantly because he didn't want to deal with it. And I am not a professional, but I do think there's some truth to this when you think about all of this. I just, I don't know if it's my heart. I don't know if it's my strong belief in God, but I think he's sick, but I also do feel very, very sad for him and his kids. And not because he's some famous person, just because he is a human being and someone who would, when people say hurt people, someone who would procure that amount of pain on someone else has to have so much pain inside. Now, it very well could be evil too and be possessed and all of that. We could go down those roads, but you have to have a whole lot of pain and darkness in your heart and your soul to hurt people so much for so long and over medicate yourself to live in a daze of doing that. Anyway, Brendan Paul got on the stand and he said that yes, he did procure drugs every couple of months for him. And he would get the 2C, the ketamine, the cocaine, the ecstasy, diet pink for aesthetic purposes, cocaine. He would get weed, 2 strains that he liked, and some other stuff. But he wasn't the only one that got the drugs. So he admitted it. He got it. He said that. He also was one of the people who said he didn't see in his perspective that Jane, allegedly aka Daphne Joy, um, was hurt or was not consenting, that she was down for everything, right? I don't know. I mean, can two things be true at the same time? Could she have been consenting in front of Brendan because she was scared, didn't want to show what was really going on between those two? Those two being her and Diddy, perhaps? Um, so Brendan said something about it was an enterprise, and the defense got up there. Are you saying it's a criminal enterprise? Or are you saying it's, because it was Sean Combs Enterprises? He was like, it's Sean Combs Enterprises, music, etc. That's what we did. So now they have a Homeland Security agent on there, and they're just putting together everything because they have all these receipts and wire transfers and showing a money trail of all of the activity that was happening. Transporting the sex workers over state lines to these different locations for these types of freak offs, aka hotel nights, aka king nights, because Brendan testified that he would go into these places and set up everything. He would put all the baby oil in there and the Astroglide and the lights and all that stuff. And then after they would leave, he would have to come in and clean up. And then, they talked about all the hotel receipts of all of the damages that were racked up and that Sean Combs Enterprises had to pay for in terms of the hotel rooms and different places that they had stayed when they would do all of these things. By the way, another sidebar, they showed the pictures of all of the things that they found in his low Los Angeles mansion. Do you know that that man had 900 bottles of Astroglide in his house? 900 bottles. I just thought I'd have to say that. Anyway, so now, as I said, they're wrapping up the final prosecutory case, and they have this dude on there, Homeland Security. Now he's supposed to be, I guess, putting everything together in terms of the receipts, the money, the wires, and all of this stuff. And then the defense is going to come on board. They said that their witness list is going to be pretty short, so their maybe defense will go 2 days, maybe, right? So this could be done all next week, people. This could be over next week. We will see. I will keep following up and letting you all know what has happened and what transpires. And yeah, so this is the Diddy of it all. We will see if he ends up in jail. Oh, that's another thing that happened. So I don't know if everyone knew this, but there was a juror who was thrown off the case. Evidently, this person was they just weren't tending to their jury duty correctly, and the judge threw them off. I know there was some concern because there was like Diddy was looking at one of the juries, nodding his head, and then blah blah blah, and I don't know. So there was some concern. So they kicked one person off. Then they were thinking about kicking another person off, but then they decided not to kick that other person off. So there's that part too. So that's happening. So the jury's going through their own little turmoil. Oh, I forget to mention one of the things that they did too. After Jane, allegedly, aka Daphne Joy, testified, they showed videos. They actually showed pre-call videos to the jury with Cassie in it. So a couple ones are a couple minutes, and then they had one that was 40 minutes long. They said the jury, when people were looking at their face, was looking visually uncomfortable. They had them have headphones on so you could not hear anything, and they were the only ones who saw the videos. So there was that part. I don't know. I don't know if they made a case enough for a criminal enterprise. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's just because of my you know, I have an obsession with the mafia. I always have. It's just something that I've always liked. And I don't feel like it's that. But there's a lot of other criminal activity. And I mean, he did do, like, technically, he did do all of the things that they're saying in the accusations, technically. But I wonder if the jury is going to find unanimously that he's guilty. Unanimously. I feel like that is the word that I'm stuck with at this point. We'll see what the defense comes up with, who is on the stand, and we will go from there. So that concludes today, everybody. I hope you enjoyed listening to me just go off about the Diddy trial. Clearly, I am deep in all of this and will be until its conclusion. But that being said, do listen, do subscribe, and thank you as always for listening to Miscellaneous Candor, frank, honest, and otherwise outspoken. Have a good one, everybody. See ya.